Patrick Maswanganyi, Tsepang Moremi, and Dion Hoto made sure that Orlando Pirates got all the 3 points. But it's not just about the 3 points, it's how they scored those 3 goals from 3 different approaches. One from the pressing, the other from transition, and the other from just playing and exploiting spaces that Chippa United left open. Well, let's see how exactly they did that. Hello and welcome to the Cutback with Mpilo. In this channel, we break down football matches, specifically in South African football. So if you are interested in breakdowns like that, do make sure to subscribe. So let's start by looking at how Pirates were looking to attack. So first things first that you will note here is that since Pirates plays with 2 pivots, 2 sixes, they were not staying in midfield to try and receive the ball under pressure and turn, but they were moving more outwards so that they can receive the ball in an area where there is less pressure. And at times you would even see that what they did, you'll have one of the sixes dropping out altogether and joining the centre backs in build up. But if you look in midfield, you see that you still have 4 players in there, because now you'll have Sebelebele becoming one of the floating 10s and Lebitso holding width. Sometimes they would swap around because the system is also fluid. But why are they doing this? Why are they taking a winger and making him play as a 10? Because our police is already inverted and playing as a 10. Well, they're doing this because if the ball makes its way back into the middle, you've seen Pirates do this. They want to combine and have the as short as possible of spaces between players, because the last thing you want is someone dribbling past everyone, which is usually not that possible. So they would rather just combine, and the best way to do that is to just have 4 people in midfield, because you still have people who are keeping your width. Because if you look here, you don't even see where some of the players are, because some of them are holding width, like Ulebitso on top of your screen highlighted. So Vele, they are stretching the defense of Chippa United, but at the same time they are also attracting a lot of Chippa United players to that central area. So as it happens is that since there's 3 people who are active in the build-up, is that the ball can then be circulated back to the keeper. And as that happens, which Pirates did a lot, you'll now see that Sibelebele would then be free to receive the ball. Sometimes it could be Tito, sometimes it could be Sibelebele. Like in this case, Tito is now coming towards the ball. But now, the trick that has happened is, as you can see, there are 2 players who are trying to press the center backs. There are 2 players who are trying to press the 2 pivots, right? Which means now, what Chippa United has to decide on is, are they going to push their defensive midfielder to come and press upon Tito, because 6 and a 10, they usually mark each other. So if they push him to mark Maswanganyi, that means there's now an even bigger gap between the defensive line and the midfield line. And that's the last thing you want to do. And that is why you see the hesitation from that guy right there between Tito and Lebitso, because he's now like, if I don't track Lebitso, he's going to run and make a cross. But if I don't press Tito as well, he's going to turn and be on his own. And those small moments of doubt where a player is not decisive in matches like this, they can be very costly. So now the defensive midfielder is also tempted, because now he's thinking, I cannot let Tito play. So he presses him. But when he does this, you see that 6 of Chippa United players are already out of the game, because all it would take is one pass to someone who's playing between the lines. By between the lines, we mean this huge space where the referee is standing and just up and down that space. You see that gap? Smart players like Osuna Police can then be able to drop into those areas and receive the ball, because now Orlando Pirates have pulled Chippa United apart. And the right midfielder cannot track Osuna Police. Why? Because there is Dion Hoto who's holding width on the right hand side. But now the other problem is the centre back cannot approach Osuna Police. Why? Because Mahopa is also turning and making a forward run into the box. If you look all across the back line, you will see that there is also Maswanganyi who's running into the box. There is also Sibelebele who's running into the box. So this gives our police enough time to get the ball, turn around, and then try to find a pass. In this case, it just doesn't work for him. But you'll then see another situation where Pirates are playing. Police once again finds himself between the lines, just receiving in that pocket of space where there's no one marking him. Now, since the midfield once again is vacated because the pivots got out there to avoid pressure, he can now turn and play the ball into that space. And this is where those combination plays will come in. But this time around, Apollos just did not do the right thing because he decided to kick the ball long. Right? So once again, you see the same situation. The ball is played outside the area where there's pressure. The midfielders and or the two strikers, the 10 and striker of Chippa United, they go and then they press. Now you can have, I won't even say the names because if I say Tito in some clips, because I have a lot of clips, some clips it would be even Umbata if they'd rotated, or it would be Undule, or it would be Usbelebele. So you'd have one of the midfield four of Pirates dropping now and going into those half spaces to receive the ball. In this case, it's Tito. Once again, what you tend to see is that in the goal, you see all of these elements coming together. Step one, the ball is played wide, away from the pressure. But now, once again, Hoto is holding his width on the left-hand side. So that means the right midfielder has to stay with him. But what Chippa wants to do, they want to put pressure on the person with the ball. So they get drawn to Umbata. And in them being drawn to Umbata, there is also Napolis between the line, right? He's just there chilling, ready to receive the ball. And now the defenders are like, okay, we have to close this man down because he's been receiving the ball on his own. But as that happens, there's now that huge gap between the defenders that is left that Hoto wanted to attack. And since he's not really gotten himself in the right position because he's panicking, trying to close Apollos down, the issue that emerges is that he fails to control the ball. He slips, and then Apollos is there to just win the ball back and play the through ball to Hoto. Hoto then just scores the goal, and then the score is 2-0 for the Pirates. But to make things worse, this did not stop here because you still see the same thing. The ball is played to Apollos between the lines. He's free to receive the ball. But now, since they are now attracted to Apollos, that means Hoto out wide is free to receive the ball and he can now play the cross. But then we also know that Orlando Pirates are not just about playing those nice passes. They are not afraid to go long because that is a strategy that has worked for them so many times so far this season. And it's not because they're bad, it's the safest thing that they could do. It's the one thing that has less mistakes in it. Which now brings us to the second way, which is how Pirates pressed against Chippa United. So the main thing that they were doing here, they brought back Evidence Mahopa, who is very energetic. And look at his run. He's not trying to win the ball, but what he's trying to do is force Chippa United to play in one side. Even as he presses the keeper, he's making sure that he doesn't play the ball to the right, but forces the ball to the left. And as this happens, now every Pirates player now knows that they should now go press the ball, so Chippa United will then kick the ball forward. You see this thing again. The ball is forced to be played on the right-hand side because everyone is trying to force the ball to go that side. And as that happens, Pirates intercept the ball back and then, they win it. But they don't do much about it. For the goal, you have to look at every player who's involved here. Once again, Mahopa is making sure that the ball does not go to the right-hand side. Now, once again, you have Tito pressing the left center back. Sebelebele is having a dual sort of a role. One, he's pressing a left back, but is also ready to basically press the midfielder to receive the ball. This is a classic pressing trap. They are tempting the keeper to play that pass centrally because Unduli is kind of staying back, so they're letting Umbata step up. And also, it's like Umbata and Osibelebele are both pressing a man and a half, if you will. Umbata, his main role is pressing the person in front of him, but if the ball goes to the one to his right, he's going to also press him. Same thing with Osibelebele. Primary role, press the left back. Secondary role, also press the midfielder. So the keeper gets, tempted. He then plays the pass straight to the person who's literally marked by two people, and then Sebelebele intercepts the ball, and the rest is history. Pirates scores their goal. And you would have thought they would have learned there, but Pirates continued to do the same thing to Chippa over and over again, forcing them to play one side, and then all of the Pirates players would then just show up and force them and win the ball back, but then they did not score. They did this over and over again, and Chippa United were just not learning, and they almost got punished even worse than the score suggested. Which then brings us to you subscribing before we talk about transition. Guys, I've also launched memberships in this channel, so you have a lot of things that you can do. If you have subscribed, you can become a member of the channel and get some incredible perks, right? Benefits of being a member. If you have not subscribed, do make sure to subscribe. That is free. Membership is not, but subscription is free. Liking the video is also free. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to transition. Pirates want to play very quickly. Like, if I show you here, it's so fast. Like, Pirates win the ball back here, right? And then if you check the time, 5 seconds later, they're now on the other end of the pitch trying to score. And even with their goal, it was the same thing. They win the ball here. The next thing they know, they placing their quickest players to be on the outside, even as they're defending. So they are still involved in the defending, but they're in a way they're placed in such a way that whenever the Pirates players who are in deeper positions win the ball, they can just launch the ball forward. And you see it clearly in the third goal that they scored. The ball is won, and then there's a forward pass, and then Pirates end up scoring that goal. So they are getting better. And for those of you who were here when the season started, I did say that I got where the coach was coming from and what he was trying to do. It's just that football fans, as usual, they get very emotional if their team loses. But I think that Pirates will only get better from here. But what did you guys think? Have you subscribed? Share with your friends, and I will see you on the next one. Also, watch this video that YouTube thinks you might like. Bye bye.